Hi everybody, thank you for coming to today's webinar. Um, Obviously based on the utilisation of Tee Sheets. Today Brad is going to be taking you through the presentation. Brad is our Chief Operating Officer and he's been with the company for over 21 months now. And he's got the key responsibilities between splitting our current partner clubs, helping them maximise their flexible memberships and working with the team to welcome new partners. So I'm going to hand you over to Brad now.
Great, thank you very much for that, Kerry. Welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules just to invest some time to join this webinar. Probably be lasting for about sort of 30 minutes or so, and as the sort of title suggests, really just want to talk through some hints and tips today about maximizing sort of the utilization of the of your start sheets. Just a little bit more in terms of myself. A sort of varied experience in the golf sector, having been up until recently working in the operations of golf clubs at general manager level, at various sort of proprietary run operations and also private member golf clubs as well. And having been on the other side of the fence, having worked with PlayMoreGolf previously as a general manager, providing flexible membership solutions into a club that I was general manager at, I've got a reasonably good understanding, I think, of sort of the pitfalls when it comes to sort of introducing one of these types of solutions. Perhaps just a little bit about the business then, for those that sort of don't know. PlayMoreGolf is the first flexible golf membership where we link individual golf clubs across the UK under one membership. We've got a membership base currently of around about 12,000 members. From the golfer's perspective, the key ethos is about being able to provide that golf with some more choice, more value and more flexibility. That's the real critical piece, and more convenience for the golfers as well. In terms of how we support golf clubs, there's a number of different avenues that we support golf clubs with. So it isn't just about providing a flexible membership solution. And ultimately, what we like to be able to do is really identify some of the key challenges that golf clubs might have. And as it says there, we provide that end-to-end solution for golf clubs. So it isn't just providing a software solution. It's about providing you with all the tools that we can help you find the members through lead generation, sign the members up through the platform, and actually retain the members via our team as well. So really, it's that one-stop shop for everything to take that sort of pain point away from clubs. And I guess ultimately, if these are some of your challenges, be it, to improve Tee Sheet utilization, which is obviously what we're here to sort of listen to today. If you're looking for help to retain more members and are perhaps worried that, that you haven't got that flexibility in your current categories, obviously we can help with that. Our model really is there to design that more infrequent golfer. So bridging that gap between the pay and play golfer and the full member is the space that we operate in. And if currently you perhaps maybe struggle to manage your corporate membership categories, perhaps the current software solution you use doesn't quite do it, we have a solution here that can help you to manage that, all done online or using the technology. And equally, if there are some holes in the revenue, many clubs have just gone through some membership renewals now. So if perhaps there's been a higher leaver rate than perhaps golf clubs were expected, this platform can help drive that additional revenue to perhaps bridge some of those shortfalls in there as well. More recently, these last two products have been launched last year. So a white label solution to run your own flexible membership, particularly relevant if you've got some real strict brand guidelines and brand identities that you need to follow. We have a white label solution that can be branded and run as your own, either on an individual basis as an individual membership, or you can run a corporate membership through it as well. And something that's really sort of come into fruition last year is actually waiting lists, and actually providing a solution to perhaps help you monetize that waiting list and actually keep that waiting list engaged with your club. So that's just some of the opportunities and some of the functionality of the platform that we can provide. So ultimately, what are we sort of going to be covering today, really? Well, obviously very relevant, I think, at the minute as we come out of winter. Obviously, the days get longer, so there's more opportunity to play golf. So I guess attention switch from how am I going to get all these golfers out on my golf course in this short space of time to how can I really maximize the opportunities that my Tee Sheet has. And also, really importantly, how can I balance the requirements of the full member to play when they want to play, to have enough space on the Tee Sheet to drive green fee golfers, but also have that space to attract that infrequent golfer as well. And as I said, hopefully there'll be maybe a few hints and tips today in terms of how you can kind of try and strike that right balance. So really the importance of understanding that utilization. What type of things do you need to consider before exploring this? So again, just a few hints and tips in there on the types of things just to think about. And ultimately, from where we sort of are, how can obviously PlayMoreGolf, certainly flexible membership, help increase that utilization of your tee sheets? So what are those key tools? Ultimately, why would you partner with us? There's some key benefits in there and key overview of that. And we'll give a bit of a summary of kind of what results that you could expect if you were to partner with PlayMoreGolf. And there'll be a Q&A session at the end, a question and answer session at the end. Kerry will sort of capture any questions and answers. So if there is anything you want to ask or want some clarity on, please just pop it into the chat function, and Kerry will be able to mop those up in the end, and I'll happily answer any of those questions. So really understanding tee sheet utilization in terms of how we kick off. So as the title suggests, really, it's really data at the heart of decision making. Some of these graphs in here are the type of results and type of graphs that we share with our partner clubs. We have a data analyst within our business who really tries to draw on all the information of how all the members are playing, when they're booking, what day they're booking, etc., and really try to put it into a graph so this is easy to understand. And ultimately, what this enables partner clubs to do is really to look at data and really drive that decision making as a result of that. Obviously, golf management systems obviously have this data in here, these reports that golf club managers and directors of golf can pull out and assess and really try to identify where those key areas are to perhaps improve utilization. So typically, this graph would show you here at the top there what day of the month that actually golf gets booked. So there's two lines in here, one day that it gets booked for, and the other line is the day that it's actually played. So we give kind of two different types of metrics to golf clubs. Also down in here in this bottom left, this is about the hour of the day that actually golf is played, and again the hour of day that golf is booked. So what you can actually see in terms of the peaks of when the hour is actually booked for when they're playing their golf. Obviously, the vast majority of our golf is played at off-peak times in the afternoon. And over here, typically the day of the week that golf is actually booked on and booked for. So this really then enables clubs to say, the real focus for me based on that data is, I've got some gaps on Wednesday afternoons or Tuesday afternoons. They're the ones that I really need some help with. And that's perhaps where we can come in and start to discuss how we might be able to help with that. So ultimately, it's making that sort of data at the heart of that decision-making process for you. So I think certainly helps you to identify periods of the day when utilization perhaps reduces. I know when I was a sort of a general manager, you'd see those periods of times during the day, as I'm sure you do, when the golf course is really busy, be it roll-ups are going off, or a midweek medal's going off, or it's a weekend competition, or the weekend regulars are sort of coming in. So really, you have a good handle on terms of where those are. But actually, where do we know where utilization starts to reduce down? And ultimately, it's really important that we actually perhaps look at that over a longer period of time so that we can pick up trends. We don't just look at a particular day and say, oh, it's really quiet on that day. We actually look over longer periods of time to say, well, actually, is this a sort of a consistent trend? And by doing all of this, this sort of helps to build the strategy around, well, how do I grow my full membership on that utilization? How do I grow green fee revenue? And how do I attract that infrequent golfer without impacting the current members in there? And actually, we say sort of the same thing, really. There's space on the tee sheet to accommodate all of this if it's all approached in the right way, and obviously with data at the heart of decision making. I was talking to a current partner the other day about sort of how they do this, and he was saying to me, look, I have a certain percentage of my golf club, based on the members that I have, a certain percentage of my tee sheet that's assigned to members. I have a certain percentage that's assigned to green fee users, and then I have another percentage that's assigned to PlayMoreGolf. And actually left that golf club going, there's a general manager that really sort of understands it and is measuring the tee sheet based on that and actually just tweaking it up and down. But what that does, it actually says, well, I can deliver my green fee revenue targets because I know I've got the right level of utilization in there to do that, and the right amount of time set aside to drive that. And I know I've got enough space in my tee sheet to attract my full members into the golf club. And equally, I've got this period here, which is this extra, which I know is that infrequent golfer that plays kind of between that 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got an opportunity to really drive some traffic through there. So it gives you a proper sort of handle on that. And obviously, increasing utilization during those quieter times of the day certainly helps to increase the revenue, and also helps to understand how you yield your tee sheet according to the time of day and the day of the week. you'd be expecting a higher yield per round in the mornings because that's your peak time. And perhaps your yield may start to sort of drop off after lunchtime as that time gets a bit quieter. So it really helps to sort of home in and understand that. So really, what should we sort of consider before exploring this? We've given a sort of a little table on this left-hand side that I'll sort of explain in a second. But ultimately, is increasing utilization of your tee sheet a key objective for your golf club? If it's not, and you've identified an opportunity to do so, we always recommend to clubs that this is an agreed strategic objective. So ensuring all club decision makers are sort of bought into that objective of saying, we've got some space. The trends tell us that it's quiet between 1 and 4, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or weekdays. I think there's an opportunity for us to help increase that utilization. And then it's about really sort of asking ourselves, what is it we're looking to achieve with this? So, as a hypothetical here, if we knew that between sort of 1 and 4 o'clock, Monday through to Thursday is quiet, and perhaps Sunday after 2 o'clock, just as an example. And if golf clubs are running on 8-minute intervals, I know run some on 6 and some run on 10, but ultimately we use this as an example. If we're running on 8-minute intervals, you know that you can get a maximum of 7 tee times in per hour. Now, 21 tee times per day, which could be an extra 84 golfers per day. Clearly, if every tee slot was taken, which perhaps isn't reality, but it tells you what could be possible. So looking at the trends and saying these are where those holes are, this is what we could do based on what we're doing now without it impacting your current member patterns or your green fee players. And ultimately, this table sort of on the left-hand side is for illustrative purposes only, but it does highlight in terms of pounds and pence what could be possible. The average spend would be based on food and beverage and retail. So this is taken from a study that we did with our members last year, the 12,000 members, to get a flavour for actually what's the average spend that they make on food and beverage and retail on each visit they make to the club. So we take that average spend. So if you look at that, if for argument's sake, we were to fill those quiet tee times, and this assumes you're filling 100%. So obviously that perhaps isn't reality. So there's the maximum that's possible. But if you were to fill that tee time in the afternoon with 2 balls, hey, we'd love to fill it with 4 balls, but let's just say we filled it with 2 balls. Actually, you could be generating another £107,000 a year with that. If you filled 50% of those slots on average, you're talking about another £55,000 a year straight into that bottom line, onto that P&L. So massive opportunity in order to kind of increase that utilization in there. So now we really fully understand what we're trying to achieve, and we know what good looks like because we kind of know what pounds and pence. All key decision makers are sort of aligned to that, increasing the tee sheet utilization, and indeed all current members understand what we're trying to achieve as well. So everybody's kind of on board with that. Definitely kind of those steps that we would recommend that sort of clubs go through. So how does a points-based solution sort of help you with this? And ultimately that table on the left-hand side is just a typical example of a points matrix. So PlayMoreGolf has the ability to integrate with your current booking system. So our points-based product certainly allows you to make those quieter times more appealing and fully utilizes that tee sheet as well. So as part of the service that we would work with clubs, we work with you to determine how best to use that points matrix. So turning those sort of underutilized tee times into attractive sort of contracted revenue opportunities. And ultimately, our partner clubs, with guidance from us, choose how you want to structure the points matrix. So we effectively produce a points matrix that suits the club and suits the current members' playing habits as well. So this isn't something that's set in stone. Ultimately, our partner clubs and our and new clubs coming into the network can choose how to actually structure this. So by doing it this way, this absolutely makes sure that it works seamlessly alongside your current 5 and 7 day membership categories. This doesn't interfere. So the flexible-based solution won't interfere with their playing habits. It works alongside it. And obviously you can clubs control the value of each tee time by the points matrix as well. So typically what we would look to do is we'd look at your current charging structure for green fees, and we'd make sure that that points value falls in line with this. So that's kind of how the points matrix then starts to work. So it works alongside your current charging categories. It takes your utilization and it comes forward with a point solution that says, this is what we recommend based on that data that we've just put into it. So it's data at the heart of that decision making. And the other beauty, of course, is these matrices can change. This matrix isn't set in stone. Partner clubs have the ability to tweak and change these. And we sometimes see that what a partner club starts off with. Trends may change in their utilization. Green fee prices may change. and therefore we have a look at the points matrix again, and we just make sure it's still in line with what it should be. That's one of the things that the club support team, you have a dedicated club support manager, that's the one thing that they will work with clubs to really try and sort of home in on that and make sure that that points matrix is still doing exactly what it wants to do. Because ultimately with this points matrix, you can control your yield without a need to discount. It isn't looking at a Tuesday afternoon and saying, how can I attract these people in here, either with a 2-for-1 or a 2-for-1 Tuesday, whatever it might be. With a point solution, it really fits in with what you're currently charging, and therefore there is no need to discount in terms of trying to drive some volume. In terms of sort of us then, and why ultimately would you want to sort of partner with PlayMoreGolf? Ultimately, we provide an end-to-end solution. So we help you find that sort of elusive occasional golfer, and we help to convert them into a points-based member. So all new clubs coming in would have a dedicated launch plan, dedicated marketing plan. We do sort of paid search and paid social campaigns via Google and Facebook, etc. And we help obviously drive some leads into that club. Obviously, we can help you to increase utilization on your tee sheets on the times and days of the week that you want to maximize opportunities. Full onboarding, a dedicated support manager that will sort of help you every step of the way. The average member with PlayMoreGolf probably plays about sort of 8 to 10 times per year. And certainly our current data says that 3/4 of the golf will be played midweek and after 1 o'clock. So it really hits in on those quieter times and perhaps those underutilized times. As an end-to-end solution, we can help you retain more members. Particularly relevant at the minute, we have a team dedicated at our central support that actually invest time to contact members coming up for renewal, making sure they're happy throughout the year with their membership, obviously feeding back directly to clubs and producing reports back to clubs on that, and actually helping them to actually renew. So if they were perhaps indecisive and perhaps hadn't quite decided what they were going to do, we sort of invest some time to really try and understand that and make sure that they're sort of still happy with the membership that they have. As I said, you sort of got a dedicated support manager to help you sort of maximize your points-based membership solution. Worth noting as well, obviously we've got various commercial terms. So just before we come on to the results, we've got various commercial terms that we can offer partner clubs. So, we'll have some discussions with you in terms of what you're looking to do, even if you're looking just to trial it because you're not totally sure about how that solution might work. So we have a trial option out there as well that golf clubs don't have to commit to a long term. We offer a 12-month trial that says, hey, if it's not worked in that 12-month period of time, do you know what? We'll shake hands and we'll walk away. But we absolutely fundamentally believe in the product. We believe there's a great opportunity to kind of grow that infrequent golfer. So there are some various sort of commercial terms, and the trial product may well sort of work for you as well. If it does, we're more than happy to have some conversations. So in terms of those sort of results, well, ultimately, the key thing is partner clubs set their own targets. So this isn't about how many flexible members that we're going to bring to you. This is about how many would you like to attract and at what times of the day. It goes back to that data that we were doing at the start there to say, how much space have I got on my tee sheet to accommodate this? How many could I realistically attract in? And that number might be 20, it might be 50, it might be 100. But ultimately, you would set that target. The support team would then work with you as we grew that up to the point where perhaps you do get to the point where you are what you might deem at the level you want to be at. And again, we then just assess that utilization and check the impacts on the on your start sheets. And if we got to the point where we filled those slots, ultimately it may cap that membership and it may be kind of a 1 in, 1 out scenario. But that's kind of, it's making sure that obviously you set your own targets. As an example, and this is just a rough example, some of our partner clubs are shown to have kind of upwards of 70 sort of active PlayMoreGolf members, but that's after a 3-year partnership. So the critical thing here is just that sustainable growth. It isn't putting loads of members in on day one. It's about that steady growth in membership each month, just trickling those members in, helps to integrate them into the club, helps to reduce the impact on the start sheets as well. The average member in terms of age of a PlayMoreGolf member is around 44 years of age as well. So again, it sort of attracts that key demographic. As I said before, play golf kind of between 8 to sort of 10 times a rounds a year. And 78% of golf rounds are played at off-peak times as well. What we tend to see in the yield then as well, because of the points matrix and the way it's structured, and because there isn't necessarily a need to discount, sometimes we see that yield of a flexible member can sometimes be 3 to 4 times higher than that traditional member, mainly because they play sort of less. They're playing 8 to sort of 10 rounds of golf a year, sometimes versus the 7-day member that's sort of playing on a more frequent basis. So they're kind of some of the results that you sort of might expect if you were to sort of partner with PlayMoreGolf. That sort of brings a close to kind of some of the key information that I wanted to cover off. We'll open up to sort of some questions and answers in a sec. And it's worth just noting this webinar and presentation has obviously been recorded. We've got a presentation. We will share that post this webinar. If there's any team members that want to have a look at it and you'd like to have a listen, then feel free to sort of share that amongst them. But yeah, we'll open up to sort of any questions at all, please.
Brad, so we've got one question here.
Yeah.
So the question is, when do flexible members usually bring you, usually play their golf?
Yeah.
Our Tee Sheet is really busy in the mornings and weekends.
So what we tend to find at the moment, and if I just sort of perhaps go back to that original graph that I sort of showed at the very start of here, this takes, and this is actually an average of all of our venues actually put together, so we can home in on different regional areas. But ultimately, what we tend to find is 78% of that golf is played in after 1 o'clock. So typically between 1 and 4. So you're quite right. You know, you're really busy during the day, so we don't want to impact that. And some golf courses are really busy at twilight time as well, because some members like to sort of play at twilight. But it's that 1 till 4 slot in some golf clubs that's really, really tricky. So that's the time that actually the vast majority of the golf is played. 78% is sort of played there, and 3/4 of the golf is played midweek. So don't necessarily sort of touch those times. What this graph does also show here is obviously it shows Saturday being the lowest day, but actually does show a peak on Sunday afternoons, because actually sometimes from the golf clubs we work with, and I know the golf clubs that I was involved with previously, Sunday afternoons after sort of 2 o'clock tend to sort of quieten down again. So again, that's where our flexible members come in. And that's why we ultimately drive the points matrix that way. So we would make it really unattractive for somebody to want to come and play in the mornings, ultimately, because that's, you don't need help there. That's taken care of with your 7-day, 5-day members and societies, etc. But ultimately making that afternoon more appealing in the points matrix by lowering the points, that's where it really drives sort of people in ultimately. So yeah, that's ultimately how we'll make sure that we don't interfere with kind of the peak times and those slots that are taken care of at clubs.
Okay, we've got a couple more. Which Tee Sheet providers do you link with?
Pretty much all of them. Club Systems, Intelligent Golf, Jonas, Lightspeed, Club Systems, I didn't mention it, BRS, Concept. So pretty much most. If there's one out there that I haven't mentioned and somebody wants some advice on it, we can. If we don't API, then we work with that software provider to try and API, but we pretty much API with all the main players, certainly in the UK.
Okay. And last one I've got here is, do you know the age of the members you bring in?
Yeah, well, we've got an average age at the minute of about 44, but actually the data that we can provide you for clubs is we can provide you a whole host of data in terms of that average age coming in. So I said the average is about 44. That varies from clubs to clubs. Some clubs we have an average age at sort of 52, and others obviously lower than that. So it brings the company average in and around about that 44. But the data that we would provide you on a regular basis if you were to partner with us, and ultimately we talk to you during the onboarding to say, hey, what key data are you looking for us to be able to share with you? What information do you perhaps have to share with your owners and your boards that helps kind of really reinforce that return on investment that you'd be getting if you were to partner with PlayMoreGolf? So we have a wealth of data that we can provide you from, you know, times of the day golf, typically times of the day the golf is booked, days of week the golf is booked, kind of average age of the member is quite important, but also we can provide you a heat map of where leads are coming from. So where are leads coming from, where are members coming from, actually what rate are we converting those at? So if somebody does inquire about a flexible membership at your golf club, at what rate would we convert those at? So we've got a sort of a wealth of data that we can sort of provide clubs when they partner with us.
Okay, great. We could just have another one pop up. How quickly can you implement the system at a club?
From the point of signing a contract with us to getting you live, the biggest critical factor in this is the API and getting that live. But generally, as an average, 2 to 3 weeks, we can get you live. One of the key things we'll say to clubs is when we're talking to them, when would you like to be live? You know, you sort of saying to me, and if they say to me, Brad, I want to be going on this, you know, if we're today and they say, I want to be going on this on the 1st of July, I'm saying to them, right, okay, well, let's get our commercial terms agreed. You know, let's look at even a trial product. Let's get a trial product going. It's a no-brainer in terms of that. And then let's get you going. We had a club sign up just recently, and I know club support manager Matt is looking to get them live in the next 2 weeks. So we can do it in 2 weeks. We can do it in 4 weeks. The critical piece is how quickly can we get that API connectivity? Not all of that is control because some of it is in the API controllers, so the club systems and intelligent golfs and the BRSs of this world. So maximum amount of time will be a month, minimum 2 weeks.
Okay, great. I think that might be all the questions. Just let me double check. Yeah, I think that's all questions for now.
Excellent. I've just popped my sort of contact details up there just for a second. It'll be on the presentation. So if anybody would like just an informal chat about how we might be able to support, just an informal chat about some of the challenges you face at the minute, more than happy to have that with anybody that's on the call. You know, if you want me to sort of come and talk to sort of owners and boards again, I'm sort of happy to do that. I can do it on Teams, or I can come to the golf club and have that conversation with you. But all that's left for me is listen. I know you're really, really busy. I know what it's like when I was a general manager. So thank you for your time today. Really appreciate that. And let me wish you all the very best for the sort of the 2023 golfing season. It's exciting time. The sun's out. Hopefully you won't get too much rain, and I really hope it's a successful one for you. So thank you for taking the time.
Great. Thank you everyone for coming. Obviously, like Brad said, this is being recorded, so I'll make sure it all gets sent out to everybody so they've got it for reference and have another run through, obviously with Brad's details there as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.